Hello everyone. Welcome to another gardening Q&A live on White Baby Gardening and Worm Farm. Today we're just going to chit chat about whatever you want to talk about. Okay, so we are already in the second month of this year, and as you know, the gardening season is getting much closer, and so the excitement begins. Everyone is busy preparing, so a lot of exciting things are ahead. Some of us might be even busier than before because of the approaching garden season. So, hi, Sian. So, we're just going to be chit chatting about gardening's gardening. I must be hungry. Yes, we're going to be chit chatting about the gardening season, and I'm just going to highlight a few changes that I'm going to be making to my channel. Don't worry, it won't be anything negative or anything that will affect you in any negative way. So, no worries. Yeah. So, just a minute. I need to close the door. My kids are making noise. Okay, sorry about that. It seems as if every time I do a live, I have to be apologizing because my kids are either making noise or they need my attention or something. But I guess that's part of life when you have small kids. Oh, hi, Han White. Right. So, first of all, I want to start off by thanking all of my viewers, those of you who are on the live now and those who will be viewing the live after. Yes, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to participate in this live. Thank you also for supporting my channel over the years. So, how are things with you, Ann White and Sian? And if I make any blunder, just know that I haven't had my dinner or supper yet. So, just kidding. Well, maybe not. Hi, Russell. Okay, you're well. That's good. I'm doing okay too. I'm doing okay too. I'm just here as usual, waiting patiently. Is it patiently? Am I waiting patiently for the growing season to start? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so today, as I said before, we're just gonna be chit chatting about whatever you want to talk about. Hi, Mom. Yeah, so whatever gardening topic you want to discuss, if you have questions, I will answer the ones that I can't, and for whatever ones I cannot answer, if someone in the audience wants to answer, then that would be excellent because I'll be learning as well. Let's see. So what are we going to talk about? Okay. Yeah, we're just chit-chatting about many little things. I'm going to be telling you of upcoming changes, not any major changes, but slight changes that is going to be on my channel, well, for a period of time, okay, and stuff like that, and whatever else you want to discuss. So, what's the weather like in your location? I'm telling you, under normal circumstances, I would like the weather that we are getting, that we have been getting since the winter start. But because I know what the implication of it is, then I don't really like the weather that we are getting. because we have been having one of the warmest winters in a while. Temperatures are nothing like they are supposed to be. In fact, we have temperatures like -2. Yesterday was -5. And that is temperatures that you will be getting sometimes late September, early October. By November, you'd be in your -20s. We do have -20s sometimes, but it doesn't go much beyond that. And let's see, at the moment it is -14. So it's unusual because this time of year, between the last week in January and the first 2 weeks of February, it is usually like -28, -35 in that region, and it is just -14 today, -5 yesterday. So I don't really like it. I like that it's not too frigid when I go outside, but I hate the fact that when the winter is this warm, it means that the winter is going to last longer, which means the growing season is not going to be a nice one. I'm hoping that won't be the case, but most times when this happens, that's how it is. Let's see. Han White says, I sowed a few seeds today. Nice. Nice. Any seeds that I'm sowing now is just to do test on them to see if they are still good. Oh, hi, D Worm. Thank you all for joining the live. Yes, so D Worm, we were saying that today we're just going to chit chat about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah. So let's see now. Yeah. You said you sow some seeds today. Well, I can't sow any seeds until the middle of March. That is when indoors you can start your seeds in my location. Anything outside of that would be a waste unless you have large grow lights to facilitate some large plants, and I don't so. Yeah. Oh, it has been pretty cold in your region. I'm sorry about that, Han White. Hopefully it will warm up soon. Yes, the chit chat is always fun. Yes, I agree. But I must be honest, I am not someone who is good at chit chat. I'm not good at making conversation, nothing of the sort. I'm just a quiet, I'm usually the quiet person who I can spend the entire day without talking. And I'm quite comfortable that way. If you want to talk, then I will talk, but you have to make the conversation because if I have to do it, I'm going to sit there and just stare at you. Of course, if you're talking about worms or the Bible or gardening, then I will talk. But to just chit chat, it's not a strength of mine. It is something I'm going to have to work on. Well, I've been trying to work on it for years, but I don't think I'm getting anywhere. Well, let's see. The worm says, we just got a foot of snow over the weekend. Oh my goodness. Gosh. Yeah. Uh, don't like all that snow at all. We have been getting some snow here, but I can't complain really. I can't complain because we've had snow maybe 3 times last week up to yesterday, and it snowed all day yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, Sunday. All day yesterday, and we don't have 3 inches of snow on the ground, so I guess I can't complain. Russell said, just mixing in the lime and diatomaceous earth into shredded bedding. Then worm chow, mix, then water, pond enzymes, and BT combo. Okay. So do you use pond enzymes with your worms? I don't really know what pond enzymes are, but because you say pond, I think it suggests something you would use in your pond. And why it says, I haven't got grow lights, so my windowsill is where it is at. Okay. Yeah. As I said before, windowsill and I are not friends because my windows aren't oriented north to south. So I do have a few things on my windowsill, but they're not too happy. But at the same time, they're not dead yet. Most of them died because they weren't getting enough sunlight. In fact, I had a nice a nice amount of plants that I brought in over the winter and decided to try growing them on my windowsill. So I made a nice stand for them out of wood. I had two varieties of thyme. I had escallion, I had green onions, uh, I had ginger, I had mint, I had not rosemary, what's that other one? Sage, and I had lavender and quite a few other plants. And I started some lettuce, but nothing. They all died. The only thing I have left on that windowsill, I transfer Josh. How long have I been here? Where? Provide, assuming that you're asking me. Yes, so as I was saying, most of the things that I have on my windowsill, they didn't make it. I still have my aloe vera and my comfort plant, which seem to be kind of struggling. And what else do I have there? I have the sweet potatoes. I transplanted them divide them up and put them into different containers. They're not happy about that at all. How long have you been a man? This channel is for gardening and for worm farming and for nothing else. So if you're going to try to get me into discussions of that sort, then it's not going to be accepted on this channel. Okay. What is your favorite vegetable to plant and eat? Oh, my favorite vegetable to plant and eat. That would have to be carrots. Carrots and corns. Absolutely love them. Okay, let's see. I think I'm missing a few comments here. Uh, Russell says, pond enzyme help the bedding break down faster. See, I learned something today. And help in moisture control. Nice. Thanks for sharing that. I guess I should write that down. Okay. Josh says, hey, I like worm farming. Okay. Worm farming is definitely fun, and the benefits are well worth or is well worth the effort. Yes, so I think I answered the worm already as regarding my favorite vegetable. Yeah, it would have to be carrots. It's just a pity that you can't really store them for any extended period of time and make them last. Well, I do store them. I have some that I have stored in soil. Dry sawdust is the best thing to store them in, and they last pretty long, but they're not as fresh as I would like them to be. I don't like store bought carrots because I don't know what those are. They look like carrot, but they don't taste like carrots. So I don't like store bought carrots. So I like growing my own. And this year, I'm going to be planting far more than before. Let's see. Oh no, Josh says, can you get tranny worms? I am not familiar with tranny worms. I don't know what those are. And White says, I washed my ENC worm bin a few days ago and I bought a new bin too. Oh, how exciting! More bins means more worms. Nice, and more castings. Somebody is going to be having fun. Tiny worm matters. I put tiny worms in plant pots. Will they grow? Well, if you put worms in pots, they usually grow. I'm not sure what tiny worm is. And why is this name so similar to Transfer Josh? It's very similar, and the conversations seem to be similar too. Okay, Russell says, when I make worm bedding, the goal is to make it so it fits in the worm's mouth. Oh, nice. Yes, they will eat it a whole lot faster, which means faster production. It's a pretty good idea. I never really thought about it that way. Yeah, I use finished compost as my bedding and as the food, the worm food, as you know. So I guess that would fit in, well, depending on the size, it will fit into the worm's mouth. But in terms of making the bedding specifically for it to fit into the worm's mouth, I've never really given thought to that. It's a pretty good idea. And White says, I like carrots too. I snack on them. Yes. If the carrot is freshly grown, I can eat any amount of carrots, but those store bought one, man. I don't even like to cook with them. Yes, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it is the chemicals they use on them, but even the ones that are said to be organic, I don't like the taste of them. I don't, and I cannot say it is because they're grown here, because when I grow my own carrots here, they taste good. So, I mean, it has to be something that they're using on the carrots that is making them not taste like carrots. So I haven't really been snacking on carrots much because I can't get no good quality carrots. In fact, when I go to the store and I buy carrots, sometimes I have them in my fridge for months. Whereas if it is my own grown, they're gone in a very short period of time. And the kids just keep coming back, Mommy, can I have a carrot? But the ones that are there, they hardly even look at them. You said I have no lucks with carrot. They usually come out too thin. Okay, are you planting them close to each other? Because your carrots need at least 2 inches between them, 2 to 3 inches between them, so that they have space to grow. And especially depending on the variety that you're growing. So if you're growing the carrots that are larger, that tend to be thicker, then they're going to need more space. And when you're growing your carrots, you need to ensure that not only do you provide sufficient space in between them, but you need to have very loose soil, because as is the case with just about any root vegetable, it doesn't need any restrictions on it. So the soil must be very loose. If it is not very loose, then the carrots will not grow to its full potential. And if you have things like sticks or rocks and stuff like that in the soil where your root vegetables are growing, they will become deformed because they will just grow around that object that is in the soil. So you have to keep that in mind. I've heard quite a few people say they have trouble with carrots. They are fairly easy to grow. The biggest problem with carrot is actually getting them to germinate. They can take a while to germinate. And so, what a lot of people do when they're planting the carrots is sow the seeds and cover it over with cardboard or some dark plastic or anything that will allow it to maintain the moisture and keep keep the seeds in the dark, and it seemed to work pretty well. Yeah, so make sure you have enough space. Yeah, so make sure you have enough space and a loose soil for your carrots. Okay, Melanie, welcome. Says, I live in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Nice. That's such a beautiful place. When is the best time to start doing my sweet potato slips? That depends on that depends on your growing season, when it is going to start. It depends on your type of weather that you have. So, and it depends on the variety of sweet potatoes that you're growing as well, because sweet potatoes need heat to grow. And if your growing season is short like mine, that is about 3 to 4 months, then it won't do well unless you start it well in advance indoors. So if you know that you have the 3 month variety, because some variety takes 3 months to produce and some takes up to 6 months. So if you know that you have the 3 month variety, then you can plant it outdoors if your growing season is 3 months. You can start it a few weeks before that indoors just to make sure that it develop strong roots, and then when you transplant it outside, it will be able to produce for you. If you know that you have the 6 months variety, or if you're not sure what variety you have, then assume that you have the longer growing time variety. And if you know that your growing season is 3 months, start it indoors 3.5 months before you actually your growing season actually start. That way it will have the full 6 months that it needs to produce. So I don't really follow the guidelines saying, okay, 6 to 8 weeks before the growing season start, you start your sweet potatoes, because sweet potatoes, they're very finicky and they love the heat. So if they don't have enough heat, they will not produce for you. So rather than following the guidelines saying 6 to 8 weeks before with sweet potatoes, I just know how long the sweet potatoes is supposed to take from planting to producing, and then I start them indoors based on that. Okay, let's see. Yes, I figure as much based on the line of conversation. I figure it is the same person trying to get me involved in things that I have no interest in. I apologize to you, my audience. I am This person is very, so I'm trying to get rid of them. Okay. The funny thing is, I don't have the option. Blocking is not coming up on the channel. I have the option to remove the comments, but I don't have the option to block. I don't see that coming up. So if one of you is able to block these three persons posing as one, this one person posing as three, I'd appreciate it if you would do so. Thank you, Russell. Let's see. You need to block those people who are not contributing to the live. Yeah, they're trying to force their ideas on others, but everybody has to choose for themselves. And I'm not interested in this line of conversation. It is not for this live. You need to find a live that discusses such thing and join them, but not on this one. Okay. Okay. Russell says, I like to use Canadian Nightcrawler to rejuvenate potting soil. If I were to get back into them, I would get a micro shredder, much safer. I would use a mixture of paper and clay as bedding. Yeah, I think they definitely want to have the soil. Mine are just sitting on the in the shredded paper that I put on top of the bin. I don't really know how much of them, but quite a few of them, they're just in the shredded paper. They're not going down into the material that was there before. I don't know if maybe because I haven't changed that material all year. All year? Yeah, because yeah, I haven't changed the material in there all year. So I guess maybe that might be why they're not staying down in it. Or maybe because it is fresh material on top, so they're staying on top. Yeah, sorry about that. Russell says, maybe I should do the report first. Yes. I'm trying to report it, but it won't. I put in all the information that I need to put in, and then it is not allowing me to press the report button. It's not highlighting, so I don't know what's going on my end. But yes, please do the report. I deeply appreciate it. Melanie said, I was hoping you could block them. Yeah. Cash Dance says, I reported them. Oh, thank you, Cash Dance. Thanks for the advice. Oh, you're very welcome. The worm reported them as well. Very good. See, that's why I have to like my audience. They're so very helpful. Gosh, they are playing games. Just report them. Yeah, everyone reports, so no comeback. Exactly. All right. Cash says no problem. I was interested in trying to carrots and wanted to ask about them. Okay, then. So you are the same. It's out of legal authority if you have, if you are someone you know is in danger. Okay. Okay. Yes, I figure as much. Ignore them. They are distracting. Yes, they're very distracting and annoying. Did you know you can go outside and find Canadian night crawlers and keep track of them? It is a fun exercise. Yeah, it is a fun. It is fun, but in my region, I'm not going to be able to find them. Although I'm in Canada, you would think that they would be, but I can't find them. The only worms I see here in my yard are the regular earthworms. If I go like by the river or in the forest or close to where someone has a farm that raises animals and stuff like that, then you're more likely to see them. But I've never been able to see them in my yard. And I have to drive a good distance if I'm to go anywhere where I can see them. So, yeah. Yeah, but it really would be interesting to watch them. It would be interesting to watch them grow, see what they do, because as you were saying, Josh, Russell, that you have one that you have been watching for 6 years, and he would come back to the same spot. So that is pretty interesting. I would really like to do something like that. I had When I go fishing, I usually buy the Canadian night crawlers, and if I have a few of them surviving, I would just leave them. I would just put them in my garden. And when I was relocating the kids' garden last year, I found two of them and relocate them with the kids' garden as well. So no, I'm sorry, I didn't just let them stay in that location and then I could just go back and check on them and see what they're doing and if the number of them is increasing in that area. But the fact that when I found them, I hadn't put any worms there that year means that they might have reproduced in that location. So maybe I'm gonna dig there and see. That would be interesting. That would be very interesting to see. Yes. Hi, Casey McDanger. You know, a lot of new names are popping up on my screen, which is not very often you see something like that. And I'm guessing that they're all either the same person or members of the same group. So for those comments, I'm just going to be ignoring them because if we spend the time to try to block all of them, we're going to be spending the entire evening doing just that. So I will be ignoring all these comments, and for the rest of you on the live, you can just go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about, and we'll just ignore these annoying pests. Okay, so what's new in your garden this time around? How far have you gotten with your garden plans? How are your sweet potatoes doing from your recent videos? Well, as I mentioned before, I don't know if you're talking about the ones that I just planted, or is it the ones that I separated out some of the plants out of the bin so that they can get more space. If it is the one that I just planted the skin last week, then they haven't started sprouting yet. As for the ones that I transplanted, they are not very happy with the transplant. No, they're not happy about it at all. In fact, I had it 9 plants in one bin and I had 9 in the other bin. One bin only have 4 remaining, and the other bin has maybe 7. So some of them have died, but I still have some of them doing well. So I'll just keep buying sweet potatoes and planting more. And the good thing with the sweet potatoes is that the slips, you can always cut them up into 1 foot lengths and plant them. You can either stick them in water and let them root, or you can just stick the slip in the soil and that will root as well. So they're not too happy with the transplant, but they're not doing too badly either. So we'll just see how it goes. I wish I had the idea of putting the bone meal in the soil when I was transplanting them, like I did when I was planting from skin, because as you may know, the bone meal is rich in phosphorus, and phosphorus focuses on root growth. So if I had thought of that when I was transplanting them, I would have put some bone meal in there to help strengthen the roots. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes with that. All right. So as I mentioned before, hi TikTok. As I mentioned before, I'm going to have a few changes to my YouTube channel. It's not going to be much. It's just video ideas for a lot of beginners who are searching for information. And so I have started a series, as some of you may know. I have started a series called How to Grow. And so what I'll be doing is focusing on the type of vegetables that beginners are most likely to consider growing. And I'll be discussing how to grow it. And that will be part 1. And then part 2, I will be discussing how to care for such plants. So stay tuned for that series. Yeah. Well, I already started the series, as you may have seen. So we're working on that. And then, as I mentioned, this is for beginners, but I will continue to do my regular videos because no one is going to be left behind. And then there are some who are big time gardeners, but they might be planting stuff that they have never planted before, so they might need information on how to grow such things. So hopefully this video will be beneficial to such ones as well. Yes. What else? So I'm going to be doing this for maybe 4 months, this How to Grow series. I'll be doing it for about 4 months because most of us, the growing season starts between February to May, although some of us can still plant even down in October, depending on the zone that we're in. So I'm gonna be doing that for about 4 months. Uh, what else was it that I wanted to be discussed? And so all of these ideas and the how to grow, all the videos that I'm planning to do for the next 2 months, I have already selected the titles of them and I'm working on putting the information together. And I know that for a lot of you who do YouTube and you actually not just watch YouTube video, but you put out your own content, sometimes it can be a challenge figuring out what to what content to put out. So I'm just gonna be sharing with you a little trick that I use to come up with content for my video so that I am not struggling. And this idea I got from one of those YouTube channels that focuses on YouTube growth. And the person was saying, spend 15 minutes a day, 5 minutes, 15 minutes a day, and just try to think about video ideas and jot them down. And so I decided to try it, and surprisingly, it works very well. And sometimes you might say, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have 15 minutes to spare. But if you make the sacrifice to find the 15 minutes, you'll be surprised at how much you can get done in that time. And when I find myself too busy and don't have the time to just put 15 minutes aside to do so, when I'm having my lunch, I'll just sit down and think about, oh, what kind of videos can I put out? So I started doing this in August and I did it for 5 days, just 15 minutes. And surprisingly, I was able to have over 80 odd video ideas. So just 15 minutes a day and you'll be surprised how much you have. So this is just a little tip to help you come up with video ideas. So I did the same thing early last month. And so you can see all of this. These are video ideas. And then what I do also is every time I have a video idea, I run and write it down, because sometimes you say, okay, this is a very good video idea, and then all of a sudden you forget about it. All of a sudden you forget about it and you rack your brain to try to figure out what was that idea I had again. So just jot them down as they come along. Thank you all you guys for giving me that 101 dislike, because you know what? YouTube algorithm actually see that as engagement. So that 101 dislike that you're giving me, way to go. Thank you very much. Yes, you're actually think you're doing me something bad, but you're actually helping me out. So keep it up. More dislikes, please. And for those who like the channel and like the discussion, you can give me the thumbs up too. Yes, and also I just want to show my appreciation for all of you who have been supporting my channel over the years. I know I have been on YouTube since 2013, but I've only gotten serious about YouTube in the past year. But some of you have been with me from the get-go. So I want to give a shout out to all of you, and especially to AJ's Green Topic. I know he is not on the live today, but to AJ's Green Topic and to Unwhite Recipes and Mini Garden, because you have been with me over the years. So thank you, all of you, for your support. Yes, I wish I could block it too, Russell, but that's just. Do you have an example of some of the easy plants? I'm going to Dollar Tree and hoping to get my seed buying done. Okay, lettuces, easiest thing to grow. They don't really require much attention. Let's see. Cabbage, they don't really require much either, except that because they tend to be prone to insect attacks, then sometimes you might have to spend some extra time on them. Tomatoes are not difficult to, excuse me, tomatoes are not difficult to grow either. And most of the vegetables that beginners tend to plant are usually the easy ones. So carrots don't require much. You just plant them and water them pretty really. They don't require much maintenance either. The only time you have problems with them is if you have pests. And most times, based on my experience, most times I don't have problem with pests on my tomatoes and my carrots. On my lettuce, I've never really had problem with pests. So these are the three main vegetables that are very easy to grow. Herbs are very easy to grow as long as you do not overwater them, because most of the herbs prefer well drained soil with a bit of moisture. I know that thyme does not like moisture. So you don't want to give your thyme too much moisture. So rosemary and lavender, these ones don't like a lot of moistures either. So when you're getting your seeds, consider the type of plants that you're going to be growing, and the ones that love moisture, you put those together. But be careful, because not all plants can be companion planted together. And those that love moisture, you put those together. But again, you have to be careful, because some plants, if if you companion plant them together, they can cause more problems than not. For example, lettuce can be grown with members of the cabbage family, but it's not a good idea to companion plant them together, because there is some enzymes in the members of the cabbage family that is released into the soil, and these enzymes can affect the growth of your lettuce. So although they can be planted together, it can although they can be companion planted together, they can have a negative effect on your lettuce. There are some other plants that you can companion plant together, but then because they are of the same family of plants, they are they have they're prone to attack by the same type of pests, and so you don't want to put them together, because you're increasing the risk of you having pests. Let's see. Blake says, I found you now through your sphagnum moss video. Oh, I want to cry. My sphagnum moss. Oh my goodness. I messed up big time with the sphagnum moss. It has actually died. I have some that I have outside that grows outside, but the one that I bought and was growing in the house, I put it outside in the summer, and I forgot all about it. And it stayed there and it died. And when the sphagnum moss dries out, you can actually dries out to the point where it looks dead. You can actually moisten it and start to regrow it again. As long as it's not baked or it hasn't gone through the heat process, then it can regrow. But unfortunately for me, I forgot about it too long, and the sphagnum moss decomposed. So now I don't have it anymore, which is such a pity. But I do have some moss. I don't know if they are sphagnum moss, because I got them from a friend's property. There are different varieties of the sphagnum moss. So this variety is different from the one that I bought and was growing in the house. So I'm not sure if it is another type of moss or it is sphagnum moss. But I have a good amount of it growing outdoors underneath my trees, because if you're going to be growing them outdoors, then they have to have cool shade. They have to have a good amount of moisture, and they don't really require soil. They just need organic matter They grow on organic matter, but actually they don't feed from soil. They feed on nutrients that is in the air. So unlike other plants that has to have roots, sphagnum moss doesn't have roots, and it doesn't feed from the soil. But it is such a pity because I was looking forward to growing it, but maybe I'll either get some from outside and regrow inside, or I'll just buy some more and start over. Yes, so Blake says, I live in the UK, so definitely a lot of rain and cloudy weather. Sorry to hear yours died out. Yeah, I just I just took the container and emptied it out about 2 weeks ago, and I just sterilized it just recently, just yesterday I think, or day before, because I want to try again. But I'm gonna try with the one that is outside first, and then see what happens after. Oh, hi, little farmer. I see you just put out a video saying you're back. We haven't seen you in such a while. How have you been? Excuse me, I'm just gonna turn on the light. I was relying on the light from, oh, it is getting dark, so now I need to have some light in here to see. Yes, you know, I have a little problem, Russell. So you ask about vegetables that can grow easily. Most of the vegetables that you will find, vegetable seeds that you will find in the dollar stores, these ones are ones that tend to grow quite easily. And most of your herbs grow quite easily. They don't really require much maintenance. But sometimes, like you ask that question now, even if I know the answer, sometimes I have to stop and think for a while before the answer actually come back to me. So the answers usually don't just pop up in my head right away. My brain is a bit slow. Do you know any remedy to make it a bit faster? Okay, you've just been working a lot. But that's good. A lot of people don't have a lot of work to do these days with the new norm that we are experiencing. So when someone has a lot of work, it is pretty good. Although sometimes a lot of work can be a little bit too much. But it's good to keep busy, keep us from going crazy. You know, I love to keep busy, although I think I'm a little bit too busy these days. I'm gonna have to work on that, but you know, we'll see if it is possible for me to be less busy. I don't know. Yes. Let's see. Little farmer saying, I'm happy. Thumbs up number 8. By the way, hit the like, folks. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I'm still here racking my brain trying to figure out plants that grow easily. Corn grow easily. I don't know. How many of you plant corn? And what type of corns, if you plant corn, what type of corn do you plant? I love corns. Absolutely love corns. But the corn that I love the most, I can't find it here. I see sweet corns, many varieties of sweet corns you can get here, but I love the waxy type of corn. And there's a particular one that we grow in Jamaica. I don't know what it is called because more the corns that we grow in Jamaica, it is the waxy, harder type of corn, not the soft, sweet corns. And all I can see is just varieties of sweet corn. So now I am growing the flint corn, because it is a bit closer to the ones we are used to back home, except for the multicolor. But yeah, corns grow pretty easily. They don't really require much apart from nitrogen, lots of nitrogen, because as you know, corn is a grass. So because of that, it requires a lot of nitrogen. But apart from that, nitrogen and water. If you can provide sunlight, nitrogen, and water for your corns, they'll be pretty happy. Okay, let's see. I planted my garlic end of September last year and they started to grow. So I am wondering if it will survive winter. I planted my garlic around that time too, and they started to sprout within a few weeks of me planting them. And my temperatures here can go down to minus 45, or with the wind chill, it can even go down to minus 60. But when you plant your garlic in fall, you have to make sure that you're planting it at least 4 to 6 inches deep. And you also have to make sure that you have at least 4 to 6 inches of light mulch on your garlic. But that will protect them, that will provide insulation for them and protect them over the winter. So that is what I did. It's the first time I'm planting my garlic before the growing season start. It's the first time I'm planting garlic in fall, but this is how most of the Saskatchewan people plant their garlic, and so I decided to grow it the same way because the ones that I planted last spring, I was able to harvest from it, but they were pretty small. So I decided to do it in the fall. So we will see how it turns out. But yes, if you use a light mulch on it and have sufficient mulch, then that should provide some insulation. And if you're in a region where you get snow, the snow on top of the mulch will provide further insulation for these garlic. So it will be interesting to see how mine turn out. Let's see. And White says, I have trouble with corns. They never do well. Yeah, one of the thing about corn is that when you're planting corns, it needs to be planted in blocks. And when I say planted in blocks, it is recommended that rather than planting a big patch or just a thin line of corn, you plant them in a 4 by 4 blocks. So if you're planting your corns, you want 4 feet by 4 feet, and you fill that in with corn. Allow space to walk in between the next one block and the next. So corn need to be together. The thinner you plant them, the less corns you're gonna get because you're gonna have problem with pollination. Although corn self-pollinate because the tassel that you see on the top of the corn, that is the male part of the corn. The hair that you see on the actual corn, that is the female part of the corn. You would think that because one is above the other that it will self-pollinate, but that is not the case. The case is the little dust, what's the right name for that? The pollens that come off the male part of the plants, they don't fall straight down. They go onto the next plant, the next corn plant that is beside it. So the corns need to be together so that they can pollinate each other. So it's recommended. Let's see. Yeah. I want to do corns, always told not to. I can do corn this year in a 4 by 4 raised bed, 4 by 8 raised bed. Corn is not one to start indoors early, is it? Corn does not like to be transplanted. It can be, But from my experience with corns, because I started growing some last year indoors, they look nice, and after a while, they just start to slow down. When I transplanted them, the ones that I direct sowed actually grew and look a whole lot better than the ones that I started indoors. So if you're able to start them to direct sow them, then it would be better because they don't like to be transplanted. Yeah. So when you're planting your corn in your 4x8 Russell, make sure you leave a walkway in between. So plant one batch 4x4 and then leave a walkway between that and then do the other batch 4x4 because it can be a bit cumbersome trying to get to the corns to harvest them, or if you need to do any maintenance to the corn, then it can be a bit of a challenge if you have them without enough space walkway in between. So yes, they need to be grown close to each other in order to get the best result. And they do very well when companion planted with beans and peas because beans and peas replaces nitrogen and corns are heavy, very heavy feeder of nitrogen. So planting them with peas and beans is a pretty good idea. And if your beans is one that runs, then you can just let it trellis upon the corn plant. Wow, time really flies. I've been here for an hour already. It doesn't feel like it. Maybe because we got distracted by those people or that person. But yes, okay, so I'm going to be preparing to end the live. So if you have any more comments or questions, then feel free, go ahead. It was a really nice live apart from our distraction. Looking forward to talking with you guys on Friday again. Yeah, hopefully it will run much more smoothly without all the hassle. But it was fun talking with you guys. I really enjoyed it. And thanks for all your help in dealing with the unwanted presence. Let's see. Thank you. You're welcome, Russell. And White, very informative. Thank you, White Lady. You're very welcome, my dear. You're very welcome. It was fun. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you pretty soon.